Hey guys, I just finished up the first video, but we're going to go long today, and I haven't done this in a while, but we're going to do that. So I just left off in the first video with the pastor picking me up at the church, showing me around and showing me the room. And I apologize, when I do this no, I won't be splicing these videos. It'll be part 1, part 2. Never mind, ignore me. So the pastor said, what would you like? And look, Pastor, whatever you like. I'm just grateful that you want to take the time to talk with me and meet with me. And I don't know how it works in life, that there are some people that say something to you and you hear it, and then there are some people that say something to you and you listen to it and you process it, and it just hits home. And so Pastor and I went across the street to a restaurant and sat down, and it was cute. These two young ladies came up. One was training Mackenzie and Courtney came up to take her order, and I think Mackenzie was training Courtney. And it was funny, the pastor said, hey, Pastor Fred said, this guy's walking across the country. He did hype and for me when normally I do that, So I told the young ladies, and they were generally, kind of, Mackenzie was really excited, and I appreciate that. And we started talking, and what I found about the pastors I've met on my journey, and I've met several, they have such a soft-spoken way about them, and if anybody knows anything about me, I'm far from soft-spoken, especially when I get hyped up about stuff. And I came to find out the pastor's got 6 children, which having half of that on my side is plenty of work, and he's got 6 kids, and he told me that the age range, I guess, while the day of his oldest graduation is the day that his youngest was born. So that kind of gives you a time frame of that. And so we were talking about his time here, and what I know about Northern Indiana, but he shared some things about himself. He shared some things about his beliefs. He shared observations of me that I don't know how to explain it. Eye-opening in a way, almost made me excited. Sometimes you don't know things, and I remember in 8th grade biology, I was bumbling around, and I was probably, good Lord, bumbling around because I wasn't putting in, what are the hiccups? So it wasn't. Maybe I wasn't putting in all the amount of work, and just trying to get by as I always did on just, whatever I retained in my head. But all of a sudden we started talking about hybrids, and hybrid fruit and hybrid things, and the light bulb just clicked on, and I just destroyed biology the rest of the year. And I don't know what it is about that, and I don't know why I'm sharing that with you now, but it's what happened. Well, there were some moments like that last night for me, and one in particular I'm going to share with you. So Pastor was asking about me and how I came to be on the journey, and there were kind of 3 or 4, there were about 8 probably moments that I thought were really poignant, and I'm going to try to make sure I record in the book, but 3 that I'll share with you. So the first thing was talking about his father, and he said I had 2 dads. He said I had the same man, but I had 2 dads. And he said early in my life, my dad was a very, very, very successful realtor, and worked very hard. I never doubted he loved me, and he never doubted I loved him. But when you dedicate yourself to your career and to providing for your family, that's your driving force. So he told me how he loved his dad, and his dad was his career-driven folk. And then his dad had heard some words, and I should have written them down. It's on my phone, but I can't use my phone because I'm talking into it. Goodness gracious, I apologize. But his dad had heard some words about something that clicked in like his light bulb, and he basically said, "What am I doing? I don't want to be this. I don't want to be this guy. I want to be a father. I want to be a tool in my son's life." And he literally just walked away from his job. That may sound familiar to you. I don't know. To those of you that don't know, I did the same thing. I resigned my position 3 days before I left for this journey. So I have no job to go back to, but I'm confident something will break, and that'll also be part of this talk. And then he went on to share how his dad gave him the best education of his life. Being a workaholic, you don't just shut that down and stop working and just sit on the couch and read books. So his dad was taking Pastor Fred out to do things and clean fields and pick up stones and trash and debris. And you know, he said the one that sticks out in my mind, he would, in the middle of just working hard, he just softly said to Fred, "Fred, can you love somebody without liking them?" You know, and Pastor Fred said he never gave him an answer. He just gave him reason to think. And I'm hoping that's something that I'm doing out here. And I think this is why the pastor chose this story to tell me, because I think he saw the relevance that, you know, when I share thoughts with you, if you go back to my YouTube videos and see my opinions on whatever social topic there is, I'm not trying to change anybody's opinion to match mine. I'm just sharing what I think and hope to give you pause to think, and that's what Fred's dad was doing with him. So he sat there and would ask questions like this, and Fred said, "My God, it was the best education a boy could have asked for," and of course it brought him so much closer to his dad. So there's a little story about that. And then we were talking again about my life, and we're talking about my life, and you say things you don't even think about them. But so I was telling him, and again, he's a pastor, so God is at the forefront of his life, and I respect that. And as I said, I've always been a believer in God, but I never was a practitioner, possibly, or you know, I always just kind of felt that, you know, if he's there and loves me, he loves me regardless, you know. So, but as I was talking to him, I kind of said, well, you know, it's hard as a kid when you hear about goodness and things you don't quite understand. So at 9 years old, I lost my brother to cancer, and you know, it's a hard thing to wrap your arms around. I didn't really have anybody sit me down and talk to me about it. You know, I was kind of going through the motions at whatever Catholic school rites and sacraments I went through, but I really wasn't paying attention. I was just trying to count the hours so I can go play with my friends. And I'm not pointing the finger and saying people should have talked to me. I'm just saying I was left kind of to figure this out on my own. And basically what I came to is, you know, how do you do this? How do you take people at 19 years old and make them suffer for 10, 12 years of their life the way he did? What good person does that, you know? And then a few years later, when I was 12 years old, the unfortunate circumstances of my father being murdered took place as well. And again, as a young impressionable kid, 9 and 12, it started to dawn on me that, hey, you know what, this goodness that I hear about maybe isn't so good after all. And I kind of ran with that for a long time. I wasn't any hater, I just didn't choose to get caught up in all the goodness and graciousness and beauty of a God. So without saying much more than that, Pastor Fred, in his very, very subtle way, sat there, and I told him that story. He said, "Hey Jim, can I ask you a question?" He said, "Yeah." He said, I didn't say it just then. As the story went on, and I was sharing some of the good gestures that have happened to me, I said, one of the things that I'm really excited about, as I've spent time in different churches, denominational, non-denominational, is I think I failed as a father in this sense. I've always said that, you go back to my YouTube if you want to hear about my thoughts on religion, and that, you know, we don't really choose a religion. Sometimes our parents pick one for us, and we take their religion. But I haven't been very diligent in exposing my kids to religion, to God, and that's pretty shitty of me, because who am I to make that decision on their behalf? What I've done about where we live and how we approach things and try to take vacations to expose them to as much as possible so that they can make their choices. They could, you know, they may choose that Phoenix, Arizona might be their place to be, or Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or Stoystown, Pennsylvania. And the only way they'll know about that is if they get exposed to it, you know. I've never been to Minnesota, as an example, so how would I know that my calling would be in Minnesota unless I've been there? Well, that kind of applies. This hit me as I talked about the goodness with my children in church, and I shared with the pastor that I'm looking forward to, when I get back, at least exposing my kids to some church. And I'm going to be running to a third one today, guys. I apologize, it looks like. So as I said that, the pastor paused and said, "So how old are your kids, Jim?" He already knew the answer, but he made me say it out loud. And I said, "Well, my son's 9, and my daughter's going to be 12 at the end of this month." And he sat there and said, "Isn't that interesting?" And And I said, what's that? And he said, well, just about the ages that you were leaving God, that you just told me you're going to have God return into your children's life. Sort of maybe restoring your faith a little bit. Hadn't thought of it that way, and how ironic. And then he shared another story with me about, I won't go into that, but anyway, it is kind of ironic that here at 9 and 12, I had two large incidents in my life that kind of shaped the way I felt about, religion and goodness and all that stuff. And then here, as I sit in Columbia City, Indiana, this gentleman, much like his dad, isn't pointing it out to me, but kind of making me see the light by a simple question. And isn't that interesting, that my son's 9, my daughter's 12, and when I get back home, just about 3 or 4 months now, they still will be, and I look forward to at least giving them an opportunity to make their own decisions. So that was an interesting story, and my mind's getting a little bit spaced out now, so I'm trying to think of the third one I wanted to share with you guys. Maybe I'll come back to it. Anyway, I go off track a little bit. Well, hopefully that thought comes back to me. And kids, this is what happens when you get old. You get forgetful. So write stuff down. Type it in your phone. This is just a strange, not even a segue. This is off track. But one of the things I was thinking about my kids this morning, to those of you that are old enough to remember, and those of you that may not remember, there was a TV channel that came out in 1981. It was called MTV, Music Television, and it just played videos and had 5 VJs. And to those that don't know this trivia question, what was the first song that played on VH1? And it was appropriately called Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. And it really is a great song, and it's on my playlist, and my kids have heard it all the time. So today, if you're just driving around and if you've ever heard the song, go play it again, you'll enjoy it. And if you haven't heard it before, go play it, it's a cool song. And it was the first song played on MTV, which I don't think shows music videos anymore. But anyway, so that brings me to the nighttime. So along the nighttime, there's one more Pastor Fred story I want to share, but it's escaping me right now. It'll come back to me. I'll look at my phone and come back to it later. But so later on the night, I talked to my kids and my family, and felt good. I hunkered down in the church and closed the door, made sure I wasn't going to trip any alarms, and I got myself situated, and it was a pleasant night. Some nights it's great to sit down and write and to catch up on things you got to do. One of the things I have to do today, guys, you've ordered shirts. I've got to get the order to Miss Pat so she can send them out. My fault entirely. I promise I'll do that today. I promised myself I'd do it last night and broke that promise. Anyway, one of the people that I spoke with last night is another very supportive person, and I've mentioned her before. Her name's Lisa. Lisa did something on her own, very cool. She went out and found out about, the rage these days is these kind of window stickers that you put in the back of your car. And she had asked me a few weeks ago, hey, if I create something, are you okay with it? I want to be able to help your journey and maybe help raise some funds. And so Lisa created this window sticker that has kind of my motto, which those of you don't know, this means I love you in sign language. Okay, so I love you in sign language. And then beneath it, she has point the thumb. So I'm not quite sure where we stand exactly with that, but I think she was excited to tell me that they're ready to go. She's going to talk to Toby, my IT helper and guy and friend, to see about putting them on the website, and possibly, how cool would that be if you're driving on a highway in any state and see point the thumb, with that motto. She talked about maybe putting a thumb back at yourself, but I thought it would miss the message. Maybe someone give it a thumbs up or hitchhiking, and that's not what it's about. I'd rather say I love you to everybody. So imagine sometime you're driving on a highway in any state, USA, and there's this little window sticker looking back at you telling you, a stranger, that they love you, and with pointing a thumb at it. I thought, what a powerful kind of small little message. I mean, again, I know this would never happen, but what if every car in America, you're waiting at a red light or a stop sign, and the car in front of you is telling you they love you, as opposed to the other stuff. And then to see point the thumb, and again telling us point the thumb while you're sitting there. So I'm about to wrap up my second video here, guys. I'm going to cut it off here. I'll get more during the day as Pastor now. I love you guys. I'm going to hang out with Pastor. I got to show this vehicle though. He just pulled up in some old Ford pickup truck. Look at this guy. How awesome is that? Anyway, guys, I love you. Have a great day landing here, Grace. I'll talk to you later. Grace, have a great time on vacation. Take care, guys.